Hey guys, today's video is about why I believe that most atheists are unknowingly implying certain things. And what are those certain things? Well, I'll talk to you about them in this video. And well, when I say most atheists, I mean only those that believe in materialism and determinism. And also, I'd like to point out that I think that it's really hard to hold atheism without believing in materialism and determinism. That's something we can debate about on a later date, but I have to admit that I have met some atheists that do not hold these beliefs, so I have to say that not all atheists believe this, but most, I would like to say. And when I say unknowingly, I mean that I've heard a lot of atheists that hold the belief in determinism and materialism say things such as, when I lost my religion, I was free, and I've also heard them say things like, I believe that it's wrong to kill children, or it's right to help people, live good life. So I just want to talk about that a little bit tonight. Let me first explain to you what materialism is. Materialism is a theory that physical matter is the only or fundamental reality, and that all being and processes and phenomena can be explained as manifestations or results of matter. Okay. And contradictory replying behind this is that I've heard atheists regard to themselves as separate from other beings, in the sense that they have this persona that exists immaterially. And on materialism, this isn't true. You're pretty much the same as all other things in the universe. You're just a different arrangement of atoms going at rates in different directions and in different structure, and it's the idea that you yourself persona actually exists is in a way sort of an illusion. And I've also heard them say, like I said earlier, that they think that religion is, well, freeing, and that free will exists. Free will doesn't exist on materialism because it implies a sort of immaterial entity that's able to manipulate physical outcomes, which wouldn't be true in materialism, because you could explain everything with material, which would be the physical. So it would be actually that everything is kind of imposed on you. All of your beliefs, all of your actions, all things are kind of just the atoms in your brain and chemicals and reactions going off due to the physical world and certain matter that they were destined to go through. So on materialism, free will doesn't exist. Obviously, in materialism, there's no spirit, and I know a lot of atheists, they don't think the spirit exists, and that's fine. But when it comes down to the difference between us and animals, they will say, yeah, there's no difference. But what they also imply in their lifestyle is that there is a difference. For instance, I'll hear a lot of atheists say things like it's wrong to, rape people or women, or it's, not okay to, feed the rich and let the poor starve. And the thing is that if we're no different than animals, then why are our actions to be judged differently than animals? If an animal, rapes another animal, it's not seen as rape. If an animal kills another animal, it's not seen as murder. Also, on materialism, morals, objective morals, don't exist. And that is to say, the only possibility is to believe that subjective morals are true. And if that's true, then arguing over morals is pointless. There's no good reason to believe one set of morals is better than another, because if there was, then that would imply that there's an objective standard that would validate whether something's good or bad, a good or bad reason. Okay, but there are some atheists that say that, okay, no, I'm a materialist, but I do believe that there are objective morals. And the most popular one, and the only one I'm going to go over in this video, is the belief that objective standard for morals is whatever is beneficial to the well-being of conscious creatures. Let me point out that this was actually brought up by Sam Harris. It's his famous moral landscape. But the problems I have with this, for one, it seems to be accepted completely on blind faith. Why is it that it's good to help the well-being of conscious creatures? Why? I can understand that certain things, like, helping an old lady cross the street to survive, or feeding a poor man, could benefit our society and could benefit conscious creatures. But there seems to be a lacking between why benefiting conscious creatures equals good. I have yet to see a reason why helping conscious creatures equals good. I think that if somebody were to use this same reasoning for another thing, like for instance belief in God, the atheist would have a serious problem with this. So let's say that someone comes up to an atheist and says, I believe God exists, and they go, well, why? And he goes, because, well, I have a good feeling that, God exists. I'm pretty sure the atheist would say that's not very rational. That's not enough of a good reason to believe that. Well, I would simply say the same thing to Sam Harris. I mean, why would you believe that the helping of conscious creatures is good? It doesn't just simply equate good. And if you watch the debate between Sam Harris and William Lane Craig, you'll see that in the end, one of the students asks Sam Harris a question. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it basically says in the end that, he believes that the helping of conscious creatures is good in the same way that we trust that mathematics is true. It's something that you just have to put your trust in, basically. And in a roundabout way, he was just basically saying it's blind faith. So, I don't think there's any good reason to believe that at all. And also, why conscious creatures? Why not unconscious creatures? It just seems to be a form of speciesism. And lastly, I've heard a lot of people say, well, you know what? There is a good reason to believe that the flourishing of conscious creatures is equal to good, because a lot of people believe that. A lot of people, if you ask them, helping people survive or whatnot and helping them flourish, they think that that's good. Well, that's a fallacy to say that just because a lot of people believe something that it's automatically good. That's a complete and total fallacy. And secondly, I think that, yes, people think that, treating people like you would treat yourself is good, right? They think that. But the thing is, when it comes down to it, this actual belief that whatever benefits the flourishing of conscious creatures is good has some dark, sinister sides to it. His belief does support the use of eugenics, and it supports any use of mass murder that results in a beneficial environment or beneficial human being at the end of all of it. So, in a sense, you could actually justify, and not only justify, but say something is good to kill hundreds of useless people, or people that have, or millions of useless people that have, problems with them, or even people that aren't useless, that, have health problems or anything like that, to help human beings evolve or something like that. That'd be flourishing. That'd be helping the flourishing. And I just think that's wrong. I think a lot of people don't believe that that's good. So I think that even the argument from the masses is wrong. Let's go on to the second thing, determinism. Determinism is a theory or doctrine that acts of the will, occurrences in nature, or social or psychological phenomena are causally determined by preceding events or natural laws. Okay. Now, I've heard a lot of atheists say that they believe in determinism. But what I also hear these same atheists imply is that people have free will. Okay, now, obviously in determinism, free will does not exist. Now, hold on. There are some people that are called compatibilists that believe that free will and determinism can exist at the same time. In fact, a lot of people hold this view. But I think that we need to really understand what free will means, okay? When we hear the word free will, we think, man, I can decide what I want to do. I'm in control of my life. I think that's what most people think. But to compatibilists, free will does not mean that. Free will is basically allowing of something. So, on compatibilist view, free will exists in a sense that we have all these things, these thoughts, these beliefs, these actions forced on us by our brain and our environment, but we have free will in the sense that we can think it's okay. We don't really, our consciousness doesn't disagree with it. It's something that we would want, whether or not we were forced to or not. But the problem is, on determinism, the only reason why we would okay those things is simply because we were forced to believe those things. We were forced to think it's okay. So it all goes back to being forced again. It's not real free will in the sense that you actually decide something, or that you actually have the choice in believing something or not, or thinking something's okay, or allowing something. So in reality, free will doesn't really exist on determinism. And the problem with this is that I've heard tons of atheists say things like, that man needs to be locked up in jail, or that woman killed her baby, she needs to be thrown in jail forever, and whatnot. But why would you throw someone in jail for simply doing what they're born to do? if someone was born to be a rapist, determined to be a rapist, or determined to be a mass murderer, where's the justice? There is no such thing as justice on determinism. Okay? There is no ought. There's no you ought to have done this, or you ought to have done that. It's you are going to do this, or you were destined to do that. And to throw someone in jail for killing someone is like throwing someone in jail for growing black hair. There's no difference in the sense that there's no, better outcomes that it could have been done, or, allowing of the will to influence a different outcome. Also, on determinism, it's impossible to be truly rationally proud about something. Trying to say you're proud about, reading the book, or proud about coming to the conclusion that atheism is true, or anything like that, it's just silly. It's like saying that you're proud to be born with blonde hair, or, you're better than somebody because you have better eye vision. It's just silly. You were determined to do everything you did, so, you're not any better in any sense that somebody else that, was determined to do something that you think is bad. So, these are the problems I've been having with talking to people that are atheists and believing in determinism, materialism, that are implying these things, because I want to tell them, you're totally right. Objective morals exist. What Hitler did was wrong. When the man helped the old woman across the street, that was a good thing. I want to tell them that, but on their beliefs I can't, because I can't unless I can get them to believe something else. And when they say stuff like, I think that this country needs this president because he's going to just tell everyone what's up, and he's going to tell them what's right and what's wrong, or he's going to not go to war because it's wrong, or he's going to go to war because it's right. Well, there is no right, there is no wrong. And not only that, on determinism, either way, it doesn't matter. It's going to be destined. We're going to be destined to go which direction we go. And lastly, the thing is, whenever I hear an atheist say something like, let's put this person in jail, or I'm angry at this person for what they did to my mother, my father, my sister, or whatnot, why would you be angry at that person? It's like being angry at a lion for killing another lion, or it's like being, angry at someone for growing black hair. Like I said, they don't have control over this thing. And not only that, the last thing and final point I want to make, and this is the most important point to me, is I keep on hearing atheists say things like freedom from religion, or losing your religion is the most freeing process I've ever went through. And the sad thing is that they don't realize that either freedom doesn't exist at all, there's nothing to be free on determinism, or they want to think that freedom does exist on determinism, sure, but if freedom does exist and oppression exists, okay, then determinism is the most oppressive worldview you could possibly have. More than any religion where they're forcing women to do certain things, whatever, whatnot, determinism, and what I think atheism have to believe determinism, is the most oppressive belief ever. You are forced to do everything and think everything you do and think. There is no freedom from religion. There is just going through the process of time and function of atoms. So I just think it's a very, very depressing belief overall, to have to believe all of these things. And we can argue over whether or not you have to as an atheist, and I don't think you necessarily have to believe in them in the sense that, to be an atheist you're forced to believe them. But I think that if you believe in atheism, you're kind of implying that naturalism and determinism are true. And we can go into that later, but we'll talk about it in the comments section. So anyways, I'm sorry about the hairdo and the eyeglasses and everything else. I'm really glad you guys got through the whole video, and I would love to talk to you guys about it. Please video response to me or comment to me. I'm always willing to learn new things, and I'd love to hear responses from atheists. So let's talk over this. Thanks guys for watching.